Howdy and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. I'm Tim, that's Corbin, we're MrMaple.com. We're gonna talk about 10 new trees that are getting listed at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, February 6th of 2024 on the website. Y'all get excited, we got some cool trees to talk about.
Guys, love is in the air, and here at MrMaple.com, we got an introduction that'll definitely make you feel that Valentine spirit. We got Cupid right here, Acer palmatum. It's a nice coral bark. And yeah, tell us a little bit about that, Tim.
Yeah, this is actually a witch's broom that Matt and I found down in Tryon, North Carolina. We were grafting and it was Valentine's Day and we had actually already spotted this tree, but we took the scion itself. Matt and I, we're both single, it tells you how long it is, how long ago it was. We went down and got the scion for the original, off the original Cupid and started grafting it. And that's when we put the name on it, a Cupid. Y'all, it's got that red bark, that dense compact habit. 6 to 7 foot in 10 years, a little bit slower growing than most of the other coral barks. Yellow fall color, green leaves. It's awesome all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you got a loved one, maybe you give this to them for Valentine's Day. If you don't have one, you know, put it up in the front yard. You might attract, you know, that future love interest. You know, who knows? Acer palmatums, you know, they got a special place in my heart, and Cupid is an awesome one for sure.
And this is a great dwarf coral bark out there in the landscape and garden. You know, on Tuesday we dropped Shadeva Gold. This makes a great pairing with Shadeva Gold with that green bark, that dense compact habit. This gives you that red. So something like the Dixie Delight in there as well. You're gonna have 3 different winter interest Japanese maples for your landscape and garden. They make a really nice trifecta out there.
Who doesn't love a coral bark maple? All right, from Acer palmatum to Metasequoia glyptostroboides, we got Miss Grace out here.
Yo, Miss Grace, weeping selection by Talon Buckholz on a Dawn Redwood. Gives you everything you love about a Dawn Redwood in a smaller weeping habit. Makes it great for the ornamental garden, great for containers, great for bonsai. It's a tree that can actually handle those wetter places in the garden where a Japanese maple can't and still give you some ornamental traits in that wetter spot.
Yeah, I mean, these are some of my favorite types of trees. You know, I love the redwoods. They have such a, I guess, aura or feel to them in the garden. They have a presence. They kind of pull your attraction, and I love it in the springtime. Obviously, you got all the foliage, but I mean, something like Miss Grace is something that you'll be able to enjoy even in that wintertime garden. You know, you're gonna have that effects of that weeping variety, and yeah, these are really cool.
Y'all, next up, we've got a really cool black gum, or sometimes called a Tupelo. We got Nyssa sylvatica Zydeco Twist. And this is a black gum with a twisting, contorting habit that just looks really awesome out there. I mean, it has this corkscrew-like habit where it twists and has all this unique, awesome habit to it. It was named by our friend Todd Lazane. You know, Todd, we did a podcast with him. You can go check that out. He's Cajun, and this got that Cajun name to it, and that's one of the things I like about this. I mean, it's an ornamental tree. It's easy for people to grow out there in landscape. The fall colors too, you just get some really nice shades of bright red off the Zydeco Twist.
Yeah, I think something that I've slowly kind of gotten more and more kind of attracted to in the garden is those contorted varieties. I mean, you know, we got weeping, we've got uprights, you got the semi-pendulous, but nothing really compares to those contorted varieties for the craziness of, you know, the structure. And this is definitely one that doesn't disappoint, and especially being kind of in that nativar species, you know, that's definitely a couple of checks on that box for me. And Zydeco Twist is a pretty awesome tree.
I like it. I mean, it's like a more sophisticated Harry Lauder's walking stick tree. A lot of people have that out in their landscape and garden. And this got that similar habit, that twisting contortion, better fall color, easy plant to grow. You're gonna love your Zydeco Twist today.
Hit the twist.
Y'all, there's dwarf conifers and then there's miniature conifers. And this is a miniature. We're talking about Picea glauca Blue Planet.
Yeah, this is like a super dwarf. I mean, on the website, it's like 1 foot in 10 years. And I mean, I've seen a 10-year-old one of these at Talon's place. Pretty amazing. I mean, Blue Planet, definitely an aptly named tree. It gives you such a nice shape in the garden. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit. But that's what we love. We love watching trees grow and come into their own. And Blue Planet is one. Put it near something that's going to play off of it. Maybe some yellows up in there.
And this is one of those plants that we've been talking about at Buckholz Nursery. This is a Welsh pot, but to get a grafted Blue Planet this size, this is a 2 to 3 year tree in a Welsh pot. I mean, so it takes a long time to get there. So at some point, is the profitability there to offer it? We love offering plants like this, though, and this is the thing that we like. These dwarf miniatures that you can't find many other places that fit in that small garden. Blue Planet gives you some of that silver blue color out there. Extremely slow growing, dense, compact. So this is a zones 2 through 8 plant, meaning it's going to be hardy in many places across the United States. Y'all, being a smaller spruce, it's easy for many people to grow. Make sure you grow this tree in a container and give it plenty of good drainage, or grow it in a spot where you can really appreciate it, even though it's so tiny. I mean, you put this up next to a house near a walkway, pair this with something like a Makawa or Kuranajishi, allow it to play off the colors. It'd be an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, I'm like, put this near all those other little miniature trees, make it look a little bit bigger, you know, and play with those camera angles a little bit to make this Blue Planet just look massive. And yeah, man, I love this one. Sometimes the best things take a little bit of time, and this is no exception.
Y'all, next up we've got Acer Oliveranum Hot Blonde, one of our first members of the Heat Seeker series. It's a yellow Acer Oliveranum, grows fast. During the summer you get bright yellow colors. It can handle a lot of heat. It's got some amazing fall color as well. If you want a tree that's going to get out there, make a statement, give you some good yellow color, Hot Blonde's the plant.
Hey, you put that Cupid in the front yard, you might have a Hot Blonde showing up a week later. Who knows? But this tree, it's going to be a great pairing with that. Those fall colors are going to look crazy next to each other with those yellows mixing with this vibrant red that Hot Blonde gets after being that yellow color all summer and all spring. And yeah, I mean, heat tolerant, very vigorous tree, and yeah, get that a little bit of Oliveranum in your life for this one right here.
Now we expect Hot Blonde to be a zones 6 through 9 plant. We've seen it grow in really high heat regions. We've seen it grown in the coast, Charleston area in full sun, which is really impressive. People in Texas scream about how awesome this tree is in that high heat setting. It really gets out there, makes a bold statement with that yellow color. During the summer months, you can get a little bit of like apricot kind of new growth over top of the yellow, which is really nice. Amazing heat tolerant yellow for the landscape and garden.
Yeah, this one's a great you know, topic of discussion to, you know, bring up during those family holidays. You know, tell them all about Acer Oliveranum and how it has superpowers comparatively to Acer palmatum. Your family is going to love you, especially if you keep going on about it. But this is one we can't go on about enough, honestly. Hot Blonde is just such an amazing tree. Guys, you know Corbin here, he loves white pines. Goldilocks, one that I didn't know too much about whenever I was first starting, but Matt and Tim have this beautiful one sitting on the hill down low, and they let me move it up. This is a tree that, you know, during those summer months, it's going to start picking up on some of them yellow tippings that you can kind of see on these 1 gallons. But man, something about just that contrast between that, you know, nice lively green or even those blues that you get in the white pines with that vibrant yellow on the tips of the needles is just something that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Pines Barber 4 or Goldilocks is one of my favorite Japanese white pines. You get that yellow variegation on the tipping. That really is where this tree gets its name. The Japanese white pines, they just fit in the Japanese garden. They pair so well with the Japanese maples, giving a unique structural interest, but with some nice blue-green color. When you add that yellow on top of it, Goldilocks steals the show in the landscape and garden. It's one of the reasons I love this selection. Consistently variegated. Give it a little, you're gonna make sure you need to give it at least 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, being a Pinus parviflora. In higher heat settings though, say you're in a hot zone 8, you need to give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun. Y'all, an amazing tree. Love the yellow vibrant color, love the blue-green color. The structure on this is what you typically think of a Japanese white pine. It's a tree you're just gonna fall more in love with.
Yeah, you know, you got something that may be a little bit too blue, something that's a little bit too yellow. Well, hey, this one is just right.
Guys, next up, we've got Manyo Sato, the village of 10,000 leaves, where every leaf is variegated differently. Springtime, you get some maroons in there with some nice variegation. But then right after that, you have this green, dark green on lime green variegation that just steals the show for the summer. I've got a cultivar breakdown of this at Buckholtz Nursery, where you can check out the fall color as well and see a shaped specimen when it's just its natural shape after about 15 to 20 years. I mean, amazing selection.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that it just, even if you're new to maples, this is going to be one that catches your eye. it kind of shows just how far, you know, you can take the cultivation and that sort of thing. And I just love how uniquely shaped the leaves are, how unique the variegation is, and even that diversity of color and all those different shadings of itself. And like you were talking about, I mean, spring, summer, or fall, this thing is putting on a show, and that's for sure.
It's a selection by Tsukasa Maple. Our friend Yantaka Tanaka at Tsukasa Maple introduced this. And to me, it's one of the most showy and dynamic trees that I've ever seen. Its variegation is very unique to Manyo no Sato. There's not many other selections that can have something that's similar. I would say that Benny Sheehan is one of the closest things, and Kryptonite, which is a sport we found on Makawa. Those are the only things that have similar out of, we've got 1,500 different varieties of Japanese maples. So the leaf style and the variegation is very unique. And again, each leaf looks different with the margins of variegation, the way the leaf twists and is shaped, than the leaf beside of it, creating just a dynamic, fun thing to go out and photograph.
Yeah, I mean, a nice size 2-gallon right now. These are definitely going to be looking pretty fire during the springtime. And yeah, who knows, might snag one of these.
So y'all, we've got an open house coming up. That's April
5th.
From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you're going to want to check it out. More details on MrMaple.com. We've got a lot of cool plants. We'll have a lot of fun time. If you want to be on part of one of our top 5s, where we go through and ask you about your top 5 Japanese maples, record it for our YouTube channel, let us know ahead of time. We can start preparing, or you can do us that day. We'd love to shoot one with you then as well if you decided you want to when you showed up. Y'all, make sure you're there. We'd love to have you. An awesome time. There's always a lot of people who travel in from far places. We all typically have people from Texas, people from Virginia, people from many different times. We have people drive in from California, which is crazy. We'd love to have you at our open house. Go ahead and make your hotel reservations. You want to be here early, that way you can jump in and really start shopping as soon as those doors open. There'll be a lot of unique things and some really special items that we bring out to every open house.
Oh yeah, open houses, they're a blast. Get a chance to find that special plant just for you. And yeah, have a good time with some awesome people. Now guys, next up, we got Oregon Sunset. A pretty amazing, I feel like this one, I love the color on it, but that shape is just so unique. It's something that just, you can identify this tree just by the shape walking around. And yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it really makes this plateaued shape where it spreads out, but it's still upward as it does it. So it looks very architectural in the landscape, very bonsai-esque. And it's a red Japanese maple, a red dwarf upright with a spreading out habit that is very unique, that there's not another Japanese maple that has a shape quite like it. It has that bloodgood style leaf on the older growth. New growth can actually be a little more divided, looking almost like a Kamigata claw on the new growth. Very distinctive leaves versus new growth versus older growth on this selection. But the fall time, when Oregon Sunset goes to a bold orange red, is really when it's most dynamic, and is where this tree gets its name of Oregon Sunset.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the Oregon Sunsets. They're pretty beautiful. You know, this is definitely an aptly named tree as well, just because, hey, I mean, this is going to give some amazing colors during the fall time. But yeah, don't sleep on the structure of this tree. It's a nice centerpiece. It's a nice tree right near maybe a walkway. And yeah, pretty dope.
Now, at our Buckholz farm, we can grow Oregon Sunset in full sun. Here in western North Carolina, we actually need to give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun for the best growth rate, best shape. So keep that in mind in your climate. You may need to give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun for it to really thrive and really have that best shape. Y'all, next up, we've got some great sized 2 gallons of Acer palmatum, Lilian's Jewel.
Oh yeah, I mean, talk about variegated maples. Rarely is there a top 5, you know, especially if we're talking about somebody who loves variegated maples. Lilian's Jewel is not included in that list. And it's known why. I mean, this is one of the crazy showpiece trees. It's, whenever I'm talking about maples to people that are, you know, the layman, I'm like, hey, you want to see how crazy trees can get? Check out this. And, you know, I have to pick the jaw back up from the floor, and Lilian's Jewel, it's going to be a showstopper for sure.
It's flashy, it's showy, it's the Ferrari of Japanese maples. I mean, it's red with pink and white variegation. It's one of the most dynamic variegated Japanese maples out there in the landscape and garden. If you see this in person, you rarely do at a garden center because the first person who sees it is the one who takes it home. And it's one of those trees you're going to fall more in love with. It's easy to grow. It's fairly heat tolerant. I've seen this grown in full sun in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and it thriving and doing well. Cherry red colors with that pink variegation on top are amazing. If it's more shaded, you can get green with a little more white. Y'all, this is an upright selection with a semi-pendulous habit, reaching 6 to 8 foot in 10 years. It's a selection by Deloc's grandson, essentially, Jonathan Savlich, named after his daughter, Lilian. That is the correct name we go by here at Mr. Maple. Some people have miscalled it Little Annie's Jewel, and some people have miscalled it Extravaganza. The correct name, Lilian's Jewel. That's the guy who found it, named after his daughter. Amazing, beautiful tree that you're gonna fall in love with. And to me, this is one of my favorite Japanese maples. If you don't have a Lilian's Jewel, I do recommend grabbing them today. Take advantage of these awesome 2-gallon sizes we have. These things are big, some great sizes on this. You can go ahead and start to make a little bit more of an impact out there in the landscape and garden. We've offered these before in 2 gallons and they sell out fairly quickly, so do remember to check out quickly. Our website doesn't hold it for you to complete that checkout process.
Yeah, this is gonna be a gem in your garden.
Y'all, check out the sizes on these 3-gallon talls of Acer palmatum Ryusen.
Yeah, I mean, these already kind of got that serpentine, structure from the staking. This is gonna be instant impact in the garden. I mean,
I'm 6 foot, so as you can see here, definitely got some good size out there in the landscape already. Great for containers. Ryusen is heat tolerant, it's vigorous, it's got that strongly weeping habit, and these are already staked up to have that fountain-like effect.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like right here on these stakes, you can already see one of my favorite things about Ryusen, and that's the ability. This is like a Play-Doh tree. It's like stake this however you want. Make it go. Tee it out. It's gonna weep straight down off of that. I'd love to see some walls, like we talked about the ginkgo gate. Love to see some Ryusen walls maybe at some point. Who knows, man? But this is just a tree. It's gonna give you the ability to create a lot of movement in the garden. It's gonna give you a lot of contrast, especially during those fall months. And this thing is it's dope.
Yeah, it really is. And you'll notice that the habit on Ryusen is extremely cascading. When you look at a lace leaf Japanese maple, something like a Tamukiyama or Crimson Queen, the habit is going to be more arching and spreading out. Crimson Queen wider than Tamukiyama a little more cascading. This is the extreme cascading. And that gives you that idea of movement in the garden. And so if you're putting this out in the landscape, if you've got a water feature out there like a waterfall, this plays with that dynamics of the waterfall as it has that strongly weeping habit. It looks like flowing water out there. Think about movement in your garden whenever you're actually putting trees out there and what you can do to accentuate your bones and your structures that you already have in your garden.
Yeah, I think something that, we talked about at the Maple Society with, Bob Fincham. It was something he talked about it doing with Gold Drift and with Conifers, but just having those cascading trees kind of step down in the garden with, rock structures and just kind of flow in there and make almost like a living river, honestly. And that's something that you can do with these Ryusens. Really, like I said, Play-Doh trees, you can hang them upside down, grow them from topsy-turvies, bend them any sort of way, and stake it up long enough, and it's going to stay like that. So,
yeah, definitely a fun tree to have out in the garden. Now, this was 10 of the 20 trees that are listing today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mr. Maple. To find out the other 10, you can sign up for our weekly emails on MrMaple.com, or you can go to MrMaple.com at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be prepared to jump on some of these quickly, because many times on Mr. Maple, trees sell out really quickly when we list them. So be prepared to jump on at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, and remember, take care,
God bless,
and have a great day.